It started like any other political event. The room was packed with people. The cameras were rolling, and the air felt heavy with tension. Everyone was expecting a heated debate, but no one could have guessed that it would turn into one of the most talked about moments in recent political history. At the center of it all were two strong voices: Donald Trump, known for his bold and often aggressive remarks, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, known for her sharp mind and calm confidence. What began as a back and forth exchange quickly turned into something much bigger, something that would shake the nation and send shockwaves across every screen in America. Trump had always been a loud and forceful speaker. He interrupted often, dismissed others easily, and never held back his opinions, no matter how controversial. But this time, something felt different. As the discussion grew more intense, Jasmine Crockett stood her ground. She challenged his points, spoke with clarity, and didn't let herself be pushed aside. People leaned in. The room grew quieter. The clash was building, and it was clear that a breaking point was coming. Then, without warning, Trump snapped. His voice cut through the room with a tone that was both dismissive and commanding. "Sit down, girl." Three words that instantly changed the energy in the room. A silence followed, heavy and uncomfortable. For a moment, no one knew how to react. Some looked shocked, others confused, but all eyes were on Jasmine Crockett. Everyone was waiting. Would she respond? Would she walk away? Or would she do something else, something unforgettable? What came next wasn't just a reply, it was a turning point. Crockett didn't raise her voice. She didn't lose her temper. She didn't back down. Her words were calm, but they carried weight. They didn't just answer Trump, they shook the ground beneath him. And as those words spread from TV screens to phones, tweets, and headlines, it became clear this wasn't just a clash between two people. It was a moment that would be remembered, replayed, and debated for years to come. Before the clash that stunned the nation, there was a stage, a room full of tension, a conversation already beginning to boil. The setting was a televised political event, part debate, part discussion, every bit a power play. Journalists lined the back. Audience members shifted in their seats. Millions watched from home, expecting the usual sharp back and forth. What they got instead was something no one could have predicted. Donald Trump, with his usual commanding tone, had taken center stage early. He was known for being unpredictable, for cutting people off mid-sentence, for steering conversations in whatever direction suited him. He had built his image on being direct, sometimes harsh, often controversial. Many in the room had seen it before. They expected him to dominate, to speak louder than others, to leave his opponents scrambling. But this time, he wasn't the only one with something to say. Jasmine Crockett sat just a few seats away, calm but alert, with a quiet confidence that didn't need volume to make its presence known. A congresswoman from Texas and a former civil rights attorney, she was no stranger to confrontation. She had built her career standing up for what she believed in and defending people who had been silenced. This stage wasn't new to her, and neither was the challenge. The conversation had started on policy but quickly shifted toward topics that carried emotional weight: issues of race, justice, and truth. Trump spoke with his usual force, often dismissing facts and steering the narrative. He interrupted several times, waved his hand to silence others, and leaned on the crowd's reactions to fuel his points. Some on the panel stayed quiet. Others tried to push back but were easily cut off. Crockett didn't rush. She listened, took her time, and then began to speak clear, direct, and unbothered. Her words didn't just respond to Trump, they challenged him. She wasn't aggressive, but she wasn't timid either. She pointed out falsehoods, questioned logic, and brought the focus back to truth. Each time Trump tried to interrupt, she held her ground. The tension built slowly like a pot about to boil. Each sentence added to the heat. People watching could sense it. This wasn't going to be a normal debate. It was a collision of power and principle, ego and courage. And as Trump grew more frustrated by her refusal to shrink, the moment everyone would soon be talking about in headlines, hashtags, and living rooms across the country began to take shape. As the discussion continued, the energy in the room began to shift. What had started as a political exchange was quickly turning personal. Tense. Trump, growing impatient, began speaking over others more often. Each time Crockett made a point, he responded with smirks, interruptions, and exaggerated expressions. But Crockett remained steady. She didn't match his tone. She didn't raise her voice. She simply spoke facts firm, clear, and direct. The conversation had turned toward racial inequality in the justice system. Crockett, drawing from her legal background, gave examples, shared statistics, and calmly explained how laws weren't applied equally to all Americans. She didn't shout. She didn't make it emotional. She let the truth speak for itself. Trump rolled his eyes, dismissed the data, and called it more of the same victim talk. That's when the audience began to shift. Some looked surprised, others uncomfortable. Still, Crockett didn't back down. She corrected him, pointed out how systemic bias wasn't a talking point. It was a lived reality for millions. Her words were sharp, not loud, like a quiet storm gathering strength. Every time she finished a sentence, Trump seemed more agitated. He interrupted again, louder this time. That's not what's happening in this country, and you know it. Crockett responded without flinching. It's exactly what's happening, and you've chosen not to see it. By now, the back and forth was no longer just political, it was personal. Trump leaned forward, his tone rising, speaking over her with more force. Crockett, still composed, calmly said, "If you listened instead of shouting, maybe you'd understand the difference between opinion and evidence." The room went silent. Trump looked taken aback. His lips tightened. He straightened in his seat. And then it happened. He narrowed his eyes, and in a tone filled with frustration and condescension, he said, "Sit down, girl." The words echoed like a slap. Not just dismissive, disrespectful, loud and loaded. For a second, there was no response, no sound, not even a cough or a shuffle. The silence was thick. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. Crockett didn't move. She didn't blink. She stared straight at him, her expression unreadable. But her silence said more than words ever could. Everyone in that moment knew. Something had changed. A line had been crossed, and Jasmine Crockett wasn't going to let it slide. Now, it's your turn to weigh in. Was Crockett's response a defining stand or an overreaction? Did Trump cross a line, or was it just politics as usual? Let us know where you stand in the comments. And if this moment hit you as hard as it did millions of others, hit that like button and share the video, because how we respond to moments like this says everything about the kind of future we want